From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mithell in London, where COVID restrictions have tightened up a little. No social gatherings of more than 6 people allowed now, although schools, universities and workplaces aren't affected. But we've seen a rise in cases, particularly amongst the young. The cricket keeps going, though, everyone being highly respectful of the rules, including the Australians who haven't been in the country for too long and staying very low risk. Not really doing much, even if you do snatch a couple of nights out of the bubble, as I have at home this week.
Hi, it's Jim Maxwell for the ABC in Sydney, and perhaps this time next week I might be able to tell you a little bit more about the Border-Gavaskar series that everyone's anticipating. We're still waiting for these fixtures to come out because we've got the pandemic and the bubble and the rest of it disturbing our lives still. But at this stage, the MCG test on Boxing Day still looks a chance. We'll wait and see. At the moment, our interest in cricket is on faraway places in a one-day series coming up in another bubble on the other side of the world.
Well, this COVID thing is levelling matters, isn't it? Because in the past, it was only in India, largely, that we were quite unaware of the schedule of a series. But Australia's catching up, and maybe other areas as well. This is Charu Sharma for All India Radio in Bangalore, where there's another heavy spell of the monsoon, so the low-lying areas are inundated and the civic authorities have their hands full. What with COVID not only continuing here in Bangalore, but in Karnataka, the state, and in India as well. Sporting matters, unfortunately, still a distance away, although some camps are now beginning. But therefore, it's great to see some top-level international sport on television, as in the cricket series in England.
Yep, it has really been top flight as well. And that's where we're going to start, because we'll look back on the international 2020 series that we've just had between England and Australia. It took place in Southampton. The first match was won by England by just 2 runs after a dramatic Aussie batting collapse. The second game also went to England, meaning they sealed the series with a match to spare, and they did it in style.
Zampa goes in and bowls to Butler. He's going to try, and there he goes. He has smashed this down the ground. It's a huge blow. Butler is 77 not out, and that is an imperious way to win the series.
Yep, Jos Buttler hitting the 6 that beat Australia to win that series in Southampton. Butler was then rested for the final game, allowed out of the bubble for a little bit of time at home, and it was his 30th birthday, no less as well. Whether that was part of his request to go home, I don't know, but no one was begrudging him time off, that's for sure. Australia avoided a series whitewash, though, by winning the final game by 5 wickets, and Moeen Ali captained England in a full international for the first time, what with Owen Morgan injured. Jim, I just wonder what were your conclusions, if you like, from the Australian perspective? And of course, we've now got an ODI series to look forward to as well.
Well, they're a bit underdone, I suppose, and England were in good nick, having played some cricket, and Butler looking very impressive when he played. I don't think you take too much out of it, other than if you're interested in rankings, as Australia needed to win that last game to keep their number 1 ranking. And they did that because, in part, Mitch Marsh was playing, and I think he should be playing all the time in the T20 side. And I think there's probably a spot for Labuschagne, but they've got to do something with the batting. It's all over the place at the moment. As I say, let's see what happens when some of these other fellas come through, like Josh Philippe and Riley Meredith. We might see them around at some point in the near future. So Australia not far from putting a team out that's really good, but there's just a couple of gaps at the moment.
Yeah, it's getting the right players in the right spots, isn't it? Your budgies have got strong opinions, by the way. I can hear them tweeting away in the background there, saying Aaron Finch had a good series, which he did. He contributed in every game. Charu, which side, England or Australia, do you think India would be more worried about coming up against once we get to that World T20? As Jim alluded to there, this last game was a battle to see who was going to be top spot in the T20 rankings, and that's got to count for something in terms of a side's consistency.
Well, the way England and Australia are playing currently, it's like choosing between a rock and a hard place, truly. But Alison, I do beg your pardon. For most people around the world, certainly as far as the Indian expectations go, the Aussies are the team to beat any match, any format, any place, any time.
From the BBC World Service, this is Stumped on ABC and All India Radio.
Next on Stumped, to the retirement of one of England's finest batsmen.
Bell is back, forcing it into the offside.
He needs 1 for 100. The crowd are with Bell.
He's going to get it, I think. He's already celebrating. It's a very fine late cut.
Down the wicket he comes. That's a very good shot by Bell. That's gone for 6.
Wonderful moment for him. It's been an innings of the highest class.
Ian Bell punches the air and raises his bat.
That's Ian Bell territory, and this is his territory as well, Edgbaston. And they're standing up all around the ground.
It takes Ian Bell to a successive 100 for England. Against Australia, he kisses the badge on his helmet.
Agar's out there, and a half century to Bell. Well battled Bell, ding dong.
235, and he's already holding his bat up and acknowledging the applause from the Oval crowd. They're all standing up around the Oval.
Chanceless, classical, classy and composed today, Ian Bell.
To win Man of the Series in an Ashes series is something I've been dreamt about as a young boy.
This has been an extraordinary batting performance in the series. The whole crowd is standing and applauding Ian Bell.
Yep, farewell to Ian Bell after a 21-year career in which he scored more than 20,000 first-class runs and 57 hundreds. Bell played 118 tests for England, winning 5 Ashes series, and was named Player of the Series for his 3 centuries in the 2013 Ashes win. He bowed out this week with scores of 50 and 90 in his final first-class match for Warwickshire, and I'm delighted to say he joins us on the show. Ian, welcome to Stumped.
Hi Alison, how are you?
I'm good. Great to speak to you. Did you recognise the music, by the way, in that montage? It was by Bell and Sebastian. Bell.
Oh, there we go.
Fairly tenuous, but we tried. Look, just describe your emotions playing in your final match for Warwickshire, because you've represented that county since 1999.
I'll be honest with you, whether it's quite sunk in yet, I don't know. I haven't really been overly emotional, to be honest with you. I think it just feels like the right time. More so, not necessarily from the batting point of view, just the body, really. Obviously, I had the year out last year with injury, and I think it's all just caught up, really. So the fielding in particular hasn't been particularly enjoyable anymore. But it just feels collectively, mentally and everything, it's the right time to move on from the game. I've given, I suppose, everything I've got to Warwickshire and what I did with England. And I think when you come back for another season next year, you have to be prepared through the winter to do the hard yards, to try and get better again. And I just probably felt honestly inside it was the right time to move on to a new challenge and a new chapter, really, away from playing.
Some great memories, as you say, in that montage that we heard. What in particular, will stand out for you now that you do have this time to reflect?
Well, I think the two major things that stand out for me from a team point of view really was winning the Ashes in Australia. I think any time you win the Ashes is obviously an amazing feeling, but I think to do it in Australia is the absolute pinnacle as an Englishman. We know how hard and how good Australia are at home. So that for us, I think, as that group of players was probably one of the best feelings really to achieve as a group. And a lot of that group that I played with, we went through the academy together, we played under 19s together. So that was a really nice moment to sit in the SCG. But then I think the other highlight from that group again was winning in India. Again, we know how hard it is, certainly as an English side, to go to the subcontinent and win. So to be part of those two tours, I think were the highlights of my career. I suppose the 2013 Ashes at home, where I managed probably to play at my absolute best, that I probably achieved it, I suppose, in an England shirt, to score 300s in a series and hopefully affect it as much as I could with the bat. And that's the dream, really, isn't it? I think we all at some point want to win that Miller Compton Award. You grow up with, whether you're Australian or Englishman, that to affect an Ashes series is what you really want to achieve. And to have done that was a dream come true, really.
G'day, Ian. Wonderful career. Congratulations on all that you've done. And 5 Ashes wins. A brilliant achievement to be part of. But as Ali mentioned, you did play those 2-5 zip whitewashes in Australia. How gruelling were those series mentally, and what was your method for bouncing back from it?
Yeah, well, thanks, Jim. I'll let you have that one. But I think like we know, like going to Australia, whether it's any sport for any team in the world, is a tough place to go. It's a great country and it is competitive. And I think you get that feeling when you start touring there. It's not just the team you're playing against, but the whole country are on board. So it's an amazing experience to go through. I think that drive from the hotel in the Gabba on the first morning of an Ashes series is one of the most amazing feelings you can go through. It really is an incredible feeling. But as I said, I think the 2005 and the 2006-07 Australian side, I know that was coming towards the end of that era of Australian cricket, but for me, they were a lot of those were my heroes as well. Growing up, watching Ponting play, that's how I wanted to play. So I think, I felt very lucky and privileged to play against some of those great players who go down, not just as Australian, but great crickets and players of cricket history, all the way through an international career, I think you have to constantly trying to improve, learn from your mistakes, not get too down, and like I said, striving to improve. And that's what we tried to use that, I suppose, when we've been over there and lost quite heavily, which are disappointing. But again, that is sport as well. And I suppose from me, to have said, if you'd have told me I was going to play in 7 Ashes and we won 5, growing up in an era where we probably didn't win any for a long, long time, again, I wouldn't have believed you.
Hi, Ian. This is Charu Sharma for All India Radio. I'm speaking from Bangalore. Congratulations on a fine career. You have talked about moving into coaching, so you obviously intend staying with the game. And are you thinking of really a full-time job only in England, or are you happy to be a freelance coach who perhaps takes up posts in the IPL or in far corners of the world?
100%. I think, for me, I want to stay in the game. That was clear. Obviously, with my injuries last season, it managed actually to free up an opportunity to start looking at what's going to happen post-career. And I went away with the young Lions to the Under-19 World Cup, which again, I came back from that winter with a real appetite to and know that that's the direction I wanted to go in. And I just loved getting in and training with these lads and trying to help them find their way to improve their game. So yeah, that's definitely the way I want to go. And I'd love the opportunity to be able to go to competitions like the IPL and better myself and understand and learn from, I suppose, the best coaches in the world and also the best players as well. So yeah, I think from my point of view, I'm ambitious with what I want to do with my coaching, but understanding there's a lot to learn as well. I want to go and understand the right ways and like I said, tap into the best coaches in the world going forward. So yeah, like I said, I feel very ambitious in what I want to do, and that is sort of the route I want to go.
Ian, it's been fascinating talking to you, and big congratulations from all of us on a career that you can rightly feel proud of, and we'll look forward to following you in your next endeavours in the coaching world.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alison. Thanks, everyone.
From the BBC World Service, this is Stumped on ABC and All India Radio.
Now, before we go, the much delayed Indian Premier League starts in just a week's time. The teams have been gathering in the UAE. They're all being housed in biosecure bubbles, of course, but seems as if no expense is being spared. Have a listen to this guided tour of the Royal Challengers Bangalore team room.
When you've been playing bowl for a while, you do need to get your mind of the game to relax a little bit off the field. RCB have come up with an out-of-the-world game room for its members. Look at this. Has a theme ever been this pronounced? And of course, the philosophy of play bold. This is top class. Air and water are elements that make us feel better. We couldn't get those into the team room, but we did manage to get some air hockey and this beautiful pool table. We're pretty sure Yuzi Chahal isn't going to miss tick-tock with this thing being around. They say tables bring families together. This is our family table, the TT table. And taking a cue from tables, let's multiply the fun a little bit with this virtual simulator for cricket and golf. Because if you can't step out onto those lush green golf courses in Dubai, you bring them to your room. Sure, life in quarantine in a bio bubble could be difficult, but with options that are as vast as the sea and the sea itself, life at RCB is a mix of both cricket and fun.
I want to join RCB. I tell you what, I dug out the video that goes with that voiceover. It is not a games room. That is doing it a disservice. It is an entire complex almost. Charu, I mean, those players, they've got to be looked after. They can't possibly entertain themselves without any of this.
No holds barred. There's competition in every sphere, every aspect of team management, because I've seen these things for other teams as well in Dubai and whatever in the UAE. It does seem that they've taken different teams, and because the hotels are doing their best to woo, I suppose, an IPL team, they've actually cleared out a large portion of the hotel to create these team rooms for each one of these teams. And well, you can argue that some of the top sports persons, top-level cricketers are like highly strung thoroughbreds, and that, anything might put them off, so might as well provide this wonderful recreational space for them. But the Indian team didn't go there for a number of years in the 90s and the early millennium because of various reasons. So I hope they're also being very well schooled about the other expectations from them. But yeah, I think teams do get competitive about what more can we offer our players. And there is, of course, this high level of awareness that being cooped up, and you would know much more than any one of us because of this bio-bubble thing, being cooped up for nearly 2 months or more can be pretty dangerous to then expect high-level performance day in and day out when the matches are on. So, I suppose this is par for the course. Expect it.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we discovered the table tennis table that was available to us at Old Trafford, it did genuinely give a different dimension to our evenings, which was starting to come very, very samey. But I mean, this is another level again. I thought the England players and those over here in the bio bubbles, had quite a good time of it at Southampton with a real golf course attached to the hotel, actually. So they are able to actually get out, which they clearly can't in the UAE. Jim, you might experience a bio bubble with the India-Australia series this year. Who knows? But if you were asked to be bubbled up, what would be your creature comfort, do you reckon?
There's always an oasis somewhere, isn't there, Alison? That's my way out, because you need to have the social interaction. It's pretty dull sitting in your room, playing on the iPad or whatever other things you're doing. You want to be down there, even if you're playing cards or doing something, as you say, table tennis. But some kind of social interaction. And even though it's restricted with the COVID regulations around us, that's my memory of 30 or 40 years of travelling around the world and being in hotels. When you're in the bubble in the evening, you find a release somehow with other people.
A common area is all important, just to know there are other human beings around, because I can't imagine what it would be like if literally you finished work and just went back to your room on your own, or your apartment on your own, and that was it every evening, night after night. Well, that's it for this week's Stumped here on All India Radio. Don't forget to keep in touch with us using Twitter. Our handle is @BBCWS Sport. The hashtag is BBC Stumped. Thanks to Charu Sharma and Jim Maxwell, and to you for listening. Join us again next time. Bye-bye.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and All India Radio.